busy 48 hours. I have 2 games I need to shoot, one today and one tomorrow, and I thought I'd just take you guys along with the ride for a 48 hours a day in the life of a sports photographer. We missed our transfer, so now I have to take an Uber to where I need to go shoot. Okay, we made it to the school finally, and I'm actually here really early for this game.
I am reincarnated. I was stargazing. Life goes on. I need her, my babies. Woke up looking for the broccoli. High key, keep a horn on me. That come my seat. IP ownership. The blueprint is by me. Mr. Get Off. I get off at my feet.
I'm finally back home after the varsity game, and sadly varsity did not win, but they already clinched playoffs, so I have playoffs to do. Yay. I like shooting photos. It's just that I underestimate how tired I am going to be after the games, because it's a lot that especially since I have to edit JV and varsity. But at least for playoffs, it's just varsity, so I don't have to worry about JV. But that was their last season home game. Not home game. I'm lying. Oops. Their last regular season game. So now they're out. What's the word? They're out. Off season. They're off season, and it's playoff time. So hopefully they can knock out the school they went up against this game, because I think they're both in the playoffs. So if they can knock them out of the playoffs, that would be great. Especially the team I shoot for, their team they played today was actually kind of playing a little dirty, and it was like very high emotions this game. So yeah, But let's get on to the part of the video you actually care about, how I edit and the editing tips. Okay, so before we get started with the editing tips, you guys should pick up one of these. This is a hard drive, because we all know Apple products are not really good when it comes to storage. I mean, you could get an Apple laptop that has the storage you need for sports photography, sports videography, and all your editing, but you're paying like $2K, $3K for the laptop. So I just go with the base model. This is my new MacBook. Not cheap even for the base, but get yourself one of these. This is $70 for a 1 terabyte hard drive. This is gonna be your best friend, whether you're content creating for YouTube or you're editing photos and videos for clients with sports photography, which is what I kind of do. So get yourself one of these, and if you want the exact one I have, I'll link it down below in the description. It will be in my Amazon storefront, and it will be like under like camera necessities and like basically where I get my camera from. So let's get to the editing tips. Okay, so first tip is when you go into Lightroom, and I'll pop up what I'm doing right here. When you go into Lightroom, create different albums for like each project you're doing. So since it is the same team, but I'm doing like different divisions, I'm gonna have a separate album for JV, and that's what all my JVs photos are gonna be, and a separate album for varsity, just to make it easier when I am processing and transporting. You would also want to have the photos when you're exporting into your hard drive, because I edit off my little hard drive that's connected right here. You will want to have it labeled and organized exactly how you would organize it on Lightroom, just to make the process go a lot smoother. Like, as you can see here, I have all my photos for a bunch of different events and sports I did already labeled in different folders. So I highly suggest when you're editing to create different folders for each of your projects. Even though it seems like a no-brainer, some people just put their photos onto the hard drive and be like, oh, here. But like, in order to be more organized and make it easier on yourself, create the folders. So I'm going to go into this folder. I also like to have folders within the folder. That's just me and being very type A. Folders within the folders, because I like to have a folder for just the raw photos where I just immediately export it so I could format my SD card. Also, don't forget to format your SD cards before each shoot, because that prevents the card from the SD card from messing up. So format your SD cards is really important. But I like to have raw photos in one file, and then when I finish an editing, I like to have a finished folder. As you can see, I opened up my JV raw photos, and I'm just going to go through them. I had like over like 143, which is a lot less than what I used to shoot. For each like game I shot when I first started, I was shooting like literally like 600 photos each game, because I did not know where like I didn't know how to capture certain moments. Like, instead of like overly clicking and being trigger happy, I have now learned how to like actually capture good photos so I always end up with less, especially with JV. So I would go through my JV photos and select, because not, even though I shot like 143, like close to like 200 photos for JV, not all of them are going to get edited. Like, majority of them are going to the trash, because that is the reality of editing photos. Not all of them are going to be good photos, and sometimes you can't salvage a photo. So you just have to trash the photo, but less work on you. So I'd rather do this now when I'm in the review to import, so I don't have to manually go through it while I'm trying to edit. The glasses are coming on. I was like, I can't be looking at the screen without my glasses. I don't know why. I tried to in the beginning. Okay, so I narrowed 143 photos down to 79. But even with that 79, I'm still going to narrow it down once I have it now imported. Okay, so now that I went through my second round of like deleting what I deemed bad photos, it's just like photos I didn't think that were good enough. Now we're going to get on to my third. Did I already lose count? Anyways, we're going to get on to the next tip. My next step, what I do when I edit, is I go into the presets folder on Lightroom, just to like play around with like some presets that are already there, and see which, like, what's the general vibe I want to go for this photo. And I think I would go, let's go subtle and see which ones are in subtle. That one, see, I like this preset for a certain type of photo. I don't think it's best for this one, so we're going to keep looking. Let's go back to all, because I think I like, okay, so I'm going generally with this one. It's the first one I came across, but this is how you make a preset in Lightroom your own, basically, because presets, it's basically the Lightroom community, but I don't leave it just at the preset. So after I choose the preset that I think I like, I would go into the actual edit and just play around in this edit thing. So, like the exposure, I kind of want, the first round of edit was like, it was too dark for me, so I'm gonna bring up the exposure just a tad of what it originally was. And then for the temp, I actually want it like slightly warmer because it was sunny that day. So I'm going to bring up the temperature on this photo, on this preset, because the original preset had it like cool, but I want more sun. So, and then you just like play around with the tint. Like, I like a slight like violet in my photos. Well, depending on the photo, but in this case, I want just like the slightest violet. You like where you could kind of tell there's violet, but not much. And then everything seems good. And what I like to do, this is also my next tip, is if you're looking for that sharp image, even though I use a Sony a7 III, even though those images already come out sharp, when you zoom in, see, it is kind kind of sharp, but like there is still some noise, especially when you zoom in on the hands. So I like to use the AI denoise to make my photos a tad bit sharper, but don't go too overboard with this. Like usually I stay at around the 60s, the 60s and 70s range, because you still want a tad bit of noise in the photo to make it look kind of more realistic than how a photo would turn out. Then it'd be like overly done with AI enhancement. After going through the denoising process, my next tip is don't be afraid to use masking in Lightroom. Masking will be your best friend, because right now this photo looks great, but it could look better with just a tad bit of masking. So in Lightroom, it already chooses the people in the photo, and you could choose to edit the entire person, or you could choose to edit like certain parts of their body. But I'm going to choose the entire person, since like his front side is kind of his whole entire front side is covered by shadow because the sun was behind him. So I'm going to edit the front side a little bit to my liking. So the front side exposure, I'm just going to bring it up to like a 0.72, maybe a little bit past that. Yeah, like I brought it up to like a 0.84. Like that's where I like it. And then contrast, I kind of just like to play around with it. I kind of go in the negatives when sometimes, well, majority of the time in my photos, I go in the negatives, and I did -25 for this photo. And then I like to use highlights, but so I bring it kind of all the way to the top. I bring it to like 78, plus 78 on it, and then shadows. Like, feel free to mess around with this however you like. This is just how I like to edit, and I like to do like, depending on the photo, but this one's definitely a little tad more dark, and so I went for the shadows to bring in more light. I went with positive 14. I don't know why I keep saying positive. And then with the white, since they're wearing their all white jerseys, I do like to bring in the, like, make the white in their jersey kind of pop, but not too pop, like not make it too poppy, not make it pop too much, because if you do, it will look overexposed, and no one wants an overexposed photo. So I kind of just like, I keep it like under 30 if I'm making the whites in their jerseys pop, and then the blacks, which would be like the blues, definitely I'm going to drop it down a little, because some of the blues in their jerseys is navy blue, so I go like -2. Like I barely do anything. And after completing all my masking and all my little edits, this is how the final photo came to look. So this is how I basically edit my photos. But like I said, just play around with the little toggles. Like Lightroom is a very useful tool. I use Lightroom every single day because I just like editing, and especially my own Instagram photos. Now my next tip, in order to speed up this editing process, because I did one photo, but now I have 78 others I have to do. Lightroom has this little thing where it says copy edit settings, and you can hit that. Well, before you hit copy edit settings, hit the little setting flower that's next to copy edit settings, and you hit that and it pops up this little menu. Hit the masking, because you also want to copy the exact, you also want to copy the masking too. You hit copy and then you go to your next one, you just hit paste. You wait for it to it, and this is how that photo came out, but see how it's a little different. That's when you don't just leave it at the copy and paste settings. You still have to tweak it just a bit yourself. So you still have to tweak it a bit, and then you can also go into the mask and tweak the mask, because with this one, he is very well lit. So I'm actually going to drop the exposure and then instead of upping the exposure. And now after dropping exposure, that's exactly how I want this photo to look. And then we do the zoom in test to see if we want it that sharp, or if we want to actually denoise a little bit to make it even more sharper. And I think this one, when you zoom in, is actually good without the denoise. So then we're just going to move on to the next. So now that we have what our general settings that we like, I'm going to teach you how you can save these settings that we just created as your own preset. So basically, we're going to use this photo as an example. Basically, you just go up into the little presets thing, it's actually very easy. You just hit the little plus button up here, and then you label it, and then we're ready to save. So next time, if you're shooting another game and you want to use that preset, it's already there. Just make it easier on yourself, because that's what I like doing. Like when I shoot for this school, when I shoot for the varsity, I have my own preset made for specifically when I shoot for their varsity. So it's always that preset with just minor adjustments added onto it. Well, I just finished all my edits. Basically, when I'm editing varsity photos, it is basically the same process as editing JV photos. It's just that I already have my varsity photos preset already made. So there was no point of showing like the process again. It's basically the exact same steps. But I hope you guys found something useful. Like, I'm not a pro at editing. This is just what I do when I edit my photos, and just some tips that are probably common tips about editing, but you never know. Not everybody picks up a camera and starts editing. So even though this is probably common knowledge to us photographers, it's probably not common knowledge to the average person. And who knows, maybe they want to start editing, and they want to start taking photography, and they want to start editing. And I hope the little tips I did give and show you how I edit has helped. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the little vlog plus editing tutorial, and I hope you come back for another video.